Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Icebox Radio Theater's presentation of Miracle on 34th Street here in International Falls, Minnesota. We always begin, we should do a sound check, make sure we got everything hooked up and correct, which is also your chance to tell me we're too quiet or we're too loud. Go ahead, Justin.
We're just perfect, right? Just perfect. Nobody wants to change anything about the volume on these mics.
Sounds good. Next one in line, please.
You mean this one right here?
That one right there.
That I think, speaking into. Is it audible? Is it not?
Are you not hearing yourself?
I'm hearing myself.
Okay, good. Excellent. And to the more diminutive mics,
Yes.
It's Karen Schickel.
Test, test. Merry Christmas. Hoping you all can hear me just fine.
I think they're out there nodding.
In the world, I cannot see anyone.
Yeah, we can't see anybody.
And how about this mic? Does this one sound good too?
Sounds good to me. And we've been listening to the Christmas music over the pre-recorded stuff, so that sounds pretty good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to walk right here. Can I have it real quick?
Yes.
Because I get nervous. Let's start with the cast, what a group that we've got. Some old friends, mostly old friends. In the corner there, she was just up here. So glad she could join us again on stage, including a whole lot of very treacherous driving for rehearsals this week. From Fort Francis, Ontario, or thereabouts, Karen Schickel is back with us. How about that? Give her a nice round of applause. I'll just come over here. Next in line, he is the rock upon which I built my church. He is the man of 1,000 voices. Justin Kapla is back in the show. Next, we're going to do a show about Santa Claus. Who do we know looks the part? He's back. It's Tom Bement and his brother Larry. Natalie attired as always. Lance Manley won't be appearing tonight, but he will. That's Caleb Silvers, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got these plays, and we have about 6 kids of various ages. Who do we know in town that's talented enough to pull that off? Grace Fleslin is with us. The lovely, the talented. And this was a get, ladies and gentlemen, to finally talk him into coming on stage and doing a live show. You know him, you love him. It's Douglas Screef, actually. Yes. And no fancy costume this time, but very talented, very much important to the show, and always a pleasure to have her on stage. Scotta Turner is here. Next to Scotta, I don't know if you can make out the Cossack hat, but our engineer on sound effects, Sonara Irwin, is here. And one more shout out, of course, she just shook her head no. So the person I'm looking at is not actually involved in the show at all, and might be Diane Adams, but it's unclear at this time. And speaking of embarrassing people, I wanted to bring this up. We have a listener with us today. You don't need to stand, Craig, but you should wave. Drove all the way from Sycamore, Illinois today. How many hours was that? 10. And he's going back tomorrow just to see this show. So be good. Craig Finseth, also an author, has written a couple of our plays, and we hope to get some more someday. Okay, we'll see. All right. I do want to mention there will be an intermission about halfway through the show. There's plenty of popcorn, as we can smell, plus, all kinds of beverages, yes. We have alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever you like, and that's coming about halfway through. Okay, one of the things, I'm going to move over here, into the light. One of the things we're very proud of at the IBRT is that, a lot of community theaters these days are trying their hand at radio theater, but very often the mics aren't hooked up. They're just props. We are an actual functioning broadcasting radio theater. We have a streaming station, and also we go out live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. And we're very, very proud of that fact because in addition to creating new plays, we take the history of broadcasting, the history of radio very seriously. And back in the day, the audience was a big part of the show. And I bring that up to point out our applause sign. This is our nod to broadcasting history, where how to describe this briefly. A radio in, say, the 1930s was a way that brought the country together in a way that had never happened before. You could be in your farmhouse in Iowa or Minnesota or Illinois, miles away from your nearest neighbor, and yet you could be listening to a radio show from New York or Hollywood, and if you closed your eyes, it was like you're right there. And they considered the audience to be as important as the script and the actors and everybody else. But early radio people were control freaks, so they invented this sign that flashes when they would like you to applaud. And I want to make it very clear, you're not required to applaud when the sign flashes. It's just sort of, hey, this is where some applause would be nice. Because as I say, we do broadcast live, and we have people all over the country, not millions, probably, on a good show, 20 or 25, listening in. And they would love to hear you. They'd love to hear you, applaud, laugh, boo, hiss, whatever. And this is sort of our idea, nodding to history, and also a pretty practical way of saying, hey, it'd be really cool if you guys could just kind of right here. Also, do not feel you can only applaud during the applause sign. You can applaud whenever you want. You bought your ticket, and that's that. Okay, so I think it's about that time. Oh, thank you. That's our show. Good night. There, that's what it looks like, just so you know. Okay. Justin is going to need this clipboard from me, isn't he? I will. Okay. I'm going to grab a couple things off of here.
Take whatever you need.
There we go. It's the next page, I believe. See how you're actually part of like a big broadcast. So what we're about to do now is about to go live to our streaming station. We're already live on Facebook. They've all enjoyed this.
Nice little behind the scenes for Facebook.
So I want to check that. Wireless, ready to go. Yep, going to do that in just a minute. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, everyone else ready? Sonara, you good to go? Okay. Icebox Radio Theater. Here we go. Going live in 5, 4, 3.
It's 7 o'clock at the edge of America, and the Icebox Radio Theater is on the air. It's the Icebox Radio Theater coming to you live from the John Faith Little Theater in International Falls, Minnesota. Tonight, there's snowflakes in the air, a song in our hearts, and maybe some leftover turkey in the fridge. Christmas is upon us, and tonight we are happy to present one of the most beloved Christmas stories of our time, Miracle on 34th Street, along with original radio plays and hopefully a chuckle or two. It's the Icebox Radio Theater Christmas Edition, starting right now. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. A beloved holiday classic that always puts me in a festive mood. But like most people, hearing this song outside of December fills me with waves and waves of anger. But now there's hope. Introducing the Jingle Bell Sock, a colorful holiday stocking designed to whack people upside the head when they start playing Christmas music too early. Just walk up to the offending aunt or cousin and remind them that holiday music doesn't belong the week after 4th of July. Just one gentle tap, and things are put right again. The Jingle Bell Sock works on all forms of music, including classics, modern classics, even novelty favorites. Hand-woven by Laplander artisans, the Jingle Bell Sock is just a thing to help you enjoy holiday music right up until December 25th, because you haven't been forced to listen to it since Labor Day. But don't take our word for it. Listen to these satisfied customers.
I used to think hitting someone upside the head with a sock wasn't keeping the holiday spirit. But then I had to endure Mariah Carey 3 times during one trip to Menards. I don't think the manager appreciated getting socked, but at least they turned off the stereo.
My cousin Billy is one of those that starts wearing his ugly sweaters the day after Halloween. When he gave me rides to work, I pretty much had to put up with his music until I got a Jingle Bell sock. 200 or 300 whacks, and he finally got the message. Now we drive in blessed silence. It's a Christmas miracle.
The Jingle Bell sock comes in 3 festive colors: toy fire trick red, Christmas tree green, and coal gray. And you can upgrade to the Jingle Bell Sock Deluxe, which is just a handful of ball bearings you throw into the sock for the really hard cases. Yeah. The Jingle Bell Sock. Start enjoying Christmas where it belongs. In December. Not approved for use on wives.
Our first play this evening was written by Jeff Adams nearly 40 years ago as a Christmas gift for his family. It's been adapted to radio several times and was broadcast on the Icebox Radio Theater's Calls to Santa program back in 2014. So now sit back, relax, and get ready to enter into the world of imagination theater with The Christmas Room.
Christmas Room, a story of hope by Jeffrey Adams. Once, in a place quite nearby but still different from here, there lived an old man named Ned. Ned lived in a tiny attic room that was cold at night and hot during the summer and too small at every time of year. Ned didn't like the room very much, but he didn't much like the idea of leaving it either. After all, people left Ned alone up in his attic room, and if there was one thing Ned disliked most in this world, it was people.
Oh, what is it?
Hello, Ned.
Hello yourself.
Now, there was one thing about this room I should mention. It was located high up in the attic of a church.
How are you today?
That shy, nervous man is the pastor of the church. Pastor Knack is his name. He's very nice and very wise, but Ned frightens Pastor Knack a little bit.
Oh, I'm fine. And I'll get out.
But then Ned frightens just about everybody. Now, Pastor Knack was very good at his job. He not only did the regular pastor things like marrying people and baptizing babies, he did a really nice job of helping everyone he could, especially in an emergency. Ned had come with just such an emergency 3 years earlier and decided to stay. That was a real problem for Pastor Knack because the room wasn't supposed to be Ned's forever. It was supposed to be for anyone who needed it, anyone with an emergency. Emergencies like the one happening just a few blocks away from the church. It was a cold, windy night, and sitting at a bus stop was a young woman in an old coat and a little girl, only about 8 years old, with a slightly newer coat. Her name was Karen, and the young woman, Jen, was her mother. They were out of money, and Jen was trying to figure out what to do.
Mommy, just a second, hon. Oh, these shoes.
Maybe we should stop walking.
You tired, sweetheart?
Yeah, but so are you. Maybe we should go to the hamburger place. Only this time, you get to eat. I'll just play on the playground.
Oh, Karen, I don't think we can afford it.
What can we afford?
I'll think of something. Look, I'd better make it quick, too. It's quite starting to snow.
Yeah, snow. It's so pretty. Look at it dancing in the streetlights.
Yeah.
Mommy, look. Up there on the hill.
What is it?
It's a church. I didn't see it till we looked up into the streetlights. A church is God's house, right? He always has a room.
Karen, I don't think...
Come on!
Before Karen's mother could react, Karen had grasped her hand and began pulling her right up to the church door. And pulled her right inside. And of course, Pastor Knack, being very good at his job, was more than happy to give Karen and her mom a place to sleep.
Oh no, it's no bother at all. We're happy to help.
Oh, if you're sure.
As it happens, we have a room reserved just for this situation.
See, Mom, I told you they'd have a room.
Now there's an interesting thing you should know about Pastor Knack. He's, well, a little forgetful. He was so happy to help Karen and her mom that he got some blankets and pillows and headed for the door of the little room, completely forgetting about...
What is it?
Ned.
Oh, that's right.
Hi, we're gonna be roommates.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ned. I'm not...
What's going on here?
We're very sorry. Come on, Karen.
What's wrong?
Nothing. We need to go.
Why?
We've come to the wrong place.
Oh, please, just let me explain.
Oh, you're kicking me out. Oh, is that it?
No, of course.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it on the coldest night of the year, too.
Sir, we didn't mean to disturb you. We'll leave.
You don't understand. It's all my fault. I'm very forgetful sometimes.
That's all right. We'll just...
Sleep in the corner.
Karen!
There's a lot of room, and the man won't kick us out. He just said it's the coldest night of the year.
Oh, I won't, will I?
Oh, Ned, please.
Is your name Ned? Hi, I'm Karen.
Oh, toss me out. Right on my ear.
Wait. Ned, no one is being tossed out. It is far too cold an evening for anyone to be on the streets.
Well, I don't want any...
And we have enjoyed your company for some time without asking anything of you. I think it's not too much to ask that you offer up one small corner of the room for these people.
I thought it was my room.
I'm sorry, Ned. This is an emergency. You'll just have to learn to share.
Ned was angry, but he didn't say anything more. Mostly he was just surprised because this was the first time Pastor Knack had ever stood up to him. Ever. So with nothing else to do, Ned rolled over, shut his eyes real tight, and pretended there was no one else in the room. In a few minutes, Pastor Knack returned with a mattress, some sheets, and 2 extra warm blankets. The mattress was quite small, but by snuggling close together, Karen and her mom just managed to fit. When they were all snug and warm, Karen's mom said,
"Oh, honey, time to say your prayers."
Dear God, thank you for Grandma Ruth and Aunt Reba. And please help Mommy find a job real soon. Oh, and bless the grumpy man who shared his room with us. Oh, yeah, and God, it's Christmas time down here. And I know we're supposed to be celebrating Jesus' birthday and not just getting presents and stuff. But please, could I have the Christmas room I told you about? That's the little room with the warm fireplace and the Christmas decorations that will stay up all year round, so everyone can remember that Christmas needs to come every day if it's going to do any good. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, now be extra quiet.
Okay, Mommy. Butterfly kiss.
Butterfly kiss.
And with that, Karen rolled over, closed her eyes, and drifted off to sleep. After a little bit, Karen's mother began to breathe peacefully, and then the only person left awake in the room was Ned. Now, Ned, if you remember, did not like people. He especially didn't like sharing his room with them. But as he lay there, listening to Karen and her mother sleep, something strange happened. Ned began to feel a little bad, and so he decided to give them the room, at least for the night.
I need to be someplace with more privacy anyway.
So Ned got up very quietly, opened the door, tiptoed into the hall, and then...
Where are you going?
Oh, Jesus, give me a coronary.
I'm sorry, but where are you going?
I gotta go. There's things I forgot I had to do. A dentist appointment.
It's night.
He's a night dentist.
Oh, okay. I need you to help me first.
What?
Shh. You'll wake Mommy. Here, I'll close the door. I need you to pray with me.
Didn't you do that before?
that was just goodnight prayers. I need to pray something special for Mommy.
Oh, look, maybe that minister's around here someplace. You should...
Please. It'll only take a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Get down on your knees.
What? Why?
Because it's a special prayer. Come on.
Oh, all right. Oh, my knees. Now what?
Just bow your head and pray. I'll do all the talking.
Oh, that's very big of you.
Shh. Okay, here we go. Dear God, it's me, Karen again. I just wanted to say that Mommy really needs your help. She's sad all the time because we don't have a place to stay. And I know you gave us this nice room and everything, but it'd really help her if we had something more regular. And could you please stop me from asking for the Christmas room ever again? I think that's what's making her so sad. And it's not really important anyway. Just make her happy again. That's all I want for Christmas. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to bed now. Do you need help getting up?
Oh, of course not. Say, what is this Christmas room you're going on about?
Oh, it's just from a story I read once.
You read?
Mm-hmm. Ever since I was little. Mom likes to go to libraries because they're free.
And you read a story?
Yes. It was about a little room in a house that was decorated for Christmas all year long.
Well, so what?
Oh, don't you see? It'd be wonderful. There'd be a tree there all the time, and a fireplace, and a bookcase full of Christmas books. And everyone could go there and have hot chocolate, even if it was 100 degrees outside. And that way, we could all remember Christmas all year long.
And you'd be willing to give that up just so your mom was happy?
Well, I guess if Mom were happy, I'd have Christmas every day anyway.
Ned was very quiet for a long time. Finally, he took Karen's hand.
I changed my mind. Help me up.
And he got up. Then he looked at Karen, really looked at her for the first time, and something in Ned's eyes softened just a little bit, as if Karen was reminding him of someone he hadn't thought about in a long time.
Run along back to bed. Your mom will be missing you.
Karen ran back into the little room and closed the door silently. Ned just stood in the hallway for a very, very long time. He thought about praying, and about Karen, and about some things he hadn't thought about in years. Ned left the church that night, and he spent a good part of that cold evening walking the streets of town, thinking. Meanwhile, Karen and her mother, both very tired from what had been a really long day, slept right through the night and into the morning. Not long after the sun came streaming through the frozen window of the little room, a knock came at the door.
Are you decent? It's Pastor Knack.
Yes, is it time for us to leave?
Oh, no, heavens no. Take your time.
Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning.
Karen.
Karen. Thank you. Did you sleep well? Good, excellent. There's a note for you.
I'm sorry?
A note for you. An envelope was under my office door when I arrived this morning, and I think there's something in it.
What is it, Mommy?
I don't know.
Open it. I love surprises.
It's a key.
Oh, my. Yes, and there's a note.
Come to 272 Maple Lane today after 1 o'clock. That's it. That's all it says.
It's a mystery.
Do you know anyone at this address?
No, it's an older part of town. Quite fashionable many years ago.
Come on, Mom.
Whoa, slow down, Squirt.
We have to get ready. We've got a date.
And though she practically had to drag her to do it, Karen managed to get her mother through their morning routine and down to Pastor Knack's office where they could look at a map of the city. A few hours later, Karen and her mother were walking down a quiet sidewalk in a neighborhood filled with huge houses. Some were beautiful, others weren't. All were old, and because Karen was very smart, she knew how to count addresses, and as she passed 262 and 264, she began to get very excited.
266, 268, it's just about here.
Karen, honey, slow down.
There it is.
Honey, wait.
Looking up ahead, Karen saw number 272. It was one of the most dingy, beat-up houses on the block. It had weeds in the front yard and paint peeling off the sides. It looked like no one had lived there for many years.
Karen, wait.
Now, Karen should have obeyed her mother, but she was just too excited. She ran up to the door and put the key in the lock.
Karen!
And then the door opened.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Mom, this is huge. Does anyone live here?
From the looks of the dust, I don't think so.
But they've got furniture and everything. Look at the shelves.
Careful, honey, don't touch anything.
They've got books and little figures and all kinds of stuff. It looks like someone moved out of the house but left all their stuff behind.
And it was, too. Karen and her mother moved slowly through the first floor of the house, looking carefully at everything. They couldn't figure out why anyone would leave a perfectly good house like this. After about an hour, the two of them sat down for a family meeting on a big, comfy couch in the living room.
Do you think someone just gave us this house?
No, honey, I don't know what to think.
It's nice.
It's very nice. All it really needs is a good cleaning.
Can we stay here tonight?
I don't think so.
But, Mom, it's already dark outside. And did you look on the back porch? Someone left us a bag of groceries. Maybe an angel gave us this house.
Well, I don't think an angel, but I do suppose it wouldn't hurt to stay one night. I'm hungry, aren't you?
Starved.
So Karen and her mom went to work in the kitchen, putting together a modest meal from the groceries left on the back porch. After eating, Karen went to explore the house while her mom sat down on the big couch to look at an old photo album she'd found on the shelf. As she looked at black and white photos of people she didn't know, searching for some clue as to who had done this wonderful thing, Karen's mom found herself getting drowsy, and presently she drifted off to sleep. A little while later, Karen found her there, sleeping deeply. She snuggled up with her, and before long, both of them were asleep. The next day dawned bright and clear and freezing cold. It was Christmas Eve. Karen and her mom were happy to wake up in a cozy house that was all warm and out of the wind. The old house had an old-fashioned porch that was as big as the living room itself. And because the house was built on a small hill, the view from that porch was the whole city, spread out like a snowy blanket. Karen and her mom stepped out onto the porch that morning to get a little air.
Mom!
What is it?
Look!
That looks like a turkey.
It is? I didn't think they made them that big. Oh, look! There's a tree, too.
Is that a note?
Oh, read it!
Please prepare this bird for dinner tonight. And decorating the tree should keep the little one busy. You'll find everything you need in the pantry. I'm sorry to be so secretive, but you'll learn all tonight at 6. Well, that's assuming a lot. I don't even know if I can cook something like this.
Yeah, you can. You helped Grandma that time. She always said turkeys were easy.
Let's see if we can get it in the house first.
The rest of the day, Karen and her mom kept busy getting ready for that evening. Karen found some Christmas ornaments in the basement and spent all day decorating and redecorating the tree as she discovered new ornaments to add. As 6 o'clock grew closer, both of them began to get nervous. There was less work to distract them from wondering who had done this wonderful thing. And finally, after what seemed like hours and hours of waiting.
Mommy, should I get it?
Yes, Karen, let them in.
Merry Christmas!
Pastor Knack!
It was you?
Oh, I had quite a time finding this place. What?
You. It was you?
At the door? Yes, it was me. I'm sorry. Were you expecting someone else?
Well, I don't know. Didn't you send us this house?
Oh, heavens, no. I never laid eyes upon it before.
But you came for dinner, right?
I certainly did. I got a note in my office saying to come here at 6.
Well, if you didn't do all this, then who did? Well, I guess I should.
Yes. Would you like me to answer the door?
Would you?
Of course.
Hello, everyone.
Ned!
Oh,
You came to dinner.
you having... I mean, sure, I came to dinner.
And so he did. Ned and Pastor Knack came into the table and sat right down. Pastor Knack fussed and complimented Karen's mother so much she actually blushed. And Karen kept jumping up from the table to bring more food. She seemed to have a story about each and every dish, what she had done to help, and how most of them were special foods that had been passed from her grandmother down to her mom. But all through dinner, Karen's mother kept looking at Ned as if she were trying to decide something. The four of them talked and laughed and told stories about Christmases past. Karen's mother told a story about the house she grew up in, and Pastor Knack told a very funny story about his first Christmas away from home. During a quiet moment, when no one was saying anything, Karen looked at Ned and said,
You haven't told a story, Ned.
I guess I haven't.
Can you tell one, please?
Karen.
No, it's all right. About time I said my piece anyway. Your mother over there is about fit to bust from curiosity.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be. Family that's been through what you've been through, you deserve an explanation. I shouldn't have done all the notes and whatnot. I guess I didn't know any other way.
Well, what would you like to say, Ned?
It's this house. My story, I mean. This house is mine. Owned it for 50 years.
If this is your house, why were you...
Oh, that's all right. I'll tell you, little girl. I lived here 40 years. First off with my own daughter, then later my granddaughter. We had many, many wonderful Christmases here, and I'll never forget them. But there was one year, right around Christmas. I was living here alone. Susan, that's my granddaughter, was coming down for dinner. I didn't want her to. They said fog and maybe black ice. There was a car accident.
Oh, Ned.
It was this house. I told her to stay put at home, not to drive down. Oh, but she wouldn't hear of it. She wanted to have Christmas here. I guess after that I just never forgave this old house for staying empty. I closed it up and left it to rot. I stayed away for a long time, but I guess no wound can stay open forever. Yesterday I came back to see if the place could be of some use to someone.
That's a very nice story.
Yep. No, Misty, I know you have a story you ain't brought up yet.
But what do you mean?
Oh, I seem to remember a story about a certain road.
Oh.
Karen nodded sheepishly. Suddenly, she felt very shy. She loved talking about the Christmas room, the wonderful room she's always dreamed of that would stay decorated for Christmas all year round. But lately, Karen had been worried that talking about the Christmas room made her mother sad. So feeling a little mixed up, and maybe a little worried for her mom, Karen, for one of the few times in her life, said nothing. Ned looked at her, and for the first time in years, smiled. Then Ned got up and held out his hard, wrinkled hand.
Come along, Missy. There's something you should see.
Karen took Ned's hand. Pastor Knack and Mom got up as well and followed Ned up the main stairs to the second floor of the old house. Then they followed Ned through a door Karen and her mom hadn't noticed before. It opened on a tiny staircase that wound up to an attic, and in one corner of the attic, there was another door.
What is this place, Ned?
Just the attic. But a few years ago, I framed off one corner for a separate room. It was for my granddaughter. She was an artist and wanted a room for a studio. Until a day or so ago, I hadn't been up here in years. That night I left the church, I came up here and, I did a little remodeling. Go on, Karen. Door's unlocked.
Oh my.
And the door opened upon a perfect little room. The wallpaper was bright with red Santas and little teddy bears. A small Christmas tree stood in the corner, all decorated and lit with twinkling lights. Against one wall was a real fireplace with a tiny fire crackling happily. There were 4 comfy chairs and a whole bookcase full of Christmas books. And all around the room were garlands and wreaths and mistletoe. And on the round window that looked out toward the street, frost had formed and snowflakes were flying by.
My granddaughter, she always loved Christmas. I couldn't think of a better use for this little room. Is it all right?
It's perfect.
And it was. For the rest of that evening, the 4 of them stayed in the Christmas room. Karen read from books about Dasher and Dancer, Frosty the Snowman, and the baby Jesus. And then, when all of them were a little sleepy, Ned asked Karen and her mother to stay in the house as long as they wanted. And of course, they said yes. The 3 of them stayed in the house a long time, until Karen was grown up, as a matter of fact. Ned was just as real a grandfather to Karen as could be. And through it all, the Christmas room remained exactly as Ned had made it. And even after years had passed and Karen had moved out and started a family of her own, she would return to that house and spend some time in the Christmas room now and again to remind her that Christmas isn't doing much at all if it isn't in all of us every day of the year. And for the rest of her life, forever and for always, Karen never forgot that. Good thing to remember, don't you think?
The Christmas Room was written and directed by Jeffrey Adams. Sound engineering by Sonara Irwin. It starred Tom Bement as Ned. Caleb Silvers was Pastor Knack. Scotta Turner was Jen. And Grace Fleslin was Karen. Our storyteller was Karen Schickel. Rapid cutoff.
The movie Miracle on 34th Street is a recognized Christmas classic released in 1947 by 20th Century Fox to almost universally positive reviews. It ended up winning 3 Academy Awards and has endured over the decades as a holiday staple, still maintaining a 96% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. In 1947, the movie was adapted for radio by the Lux Radio Theater, an anthology series hosted by Hollywood legend Cecil B. DeMille. Lux adapted movies and Broadway plays, often with the original stars reprising their roles. So for those of you at home, and you here in the John Faith Little Theater, come back with us now to a simpler time. We're gathered around the living room with a single light emanating from a massive radio. It's cold outside, but warm in here. And it's time for Christmas.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Flakes, bring you the company of the Icebox Radio Theater in Miracle on 34th Street. Greetings from the Icebox of the nation, ladies and gentlemen. Our Christmas present to you is the new Christmas classic of our time, Miracle on 34th Street. It's wrapped in a shining covering of laughter, tied with a bright ribbon of good humor, and decorated with the sparkling stars of the Icebox Radio Theater. This is a wonderful story for the whole family, and perhaps some families may be gathered around a Christmas tree as they listen. Right now it's curtain time for the play that proves, yes, there is a Santa Claus, Miracle on 34th Street, starring Karen Schickel as Doris, Caleb Sobers as Fred, and Tom Bement as Kris Kringle. It's Thanksgiving Day in New York City. On a broad avenue adjoining Central Park, an annual event is being joyfully awaited. The spectacular parade presented by Macy's department store to herald in the Christmas season. Away from the crowd are two of Macy's public relations experts.
Oh, he's simply wonderful, Mrs. Walker. Just look at him on that float. That's the most realistic Santa Claus we've ever had. Why, he didn't even need any padding, did he?
Padding?
Why, didn't you notice his tummy? So round, so firm, so fully packed. Well, now that everything's under control, where on earth did you find him?
I don't know. I just turned around and there he was.
Oh, and to think the man whose place he took was intoxicated.
Oh, with a breath that could knock over a reindeer.
Oh, just think if Mr. Macy had seen him.
What if Mr. Gimble had seen him? Competition between our stores is tough enough.
Well, the parade's starting. Let's go stand at the curb.
Not I, Mr. Shellhammer. I am going home to relax. Anyway, I can see it from there. I live just around the corner.
Yeah, so you do. Well, I will see you tomorrow, Mrs. Walker, and congratulations on finding the best Santa Claus in Macy's history.
Certainly is a wonderful parade, Susan. Just look at that clown. Gosh, what a giant.
Giant, Mr. Gailey. There are no such thing as giants.
Well, not now, maybe, but in the olden days, they're...
Really, Mr. Gailey? And you, a lawyer?
Well, what about the giant that Jack killed, you know? Jack and the Beanstalk?
Everyone knows that's a fairy tale, and I agree with my mother. Fairy tales are silly.
Come in.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan's mother. My maid said...
Oh, hello, Mother. I'm watching the parade. Mr. Gailey invited me.
Hello, darling.
Susie's told me quite a lot about you, Mrs. Walker.
She's told me quite a lot about you, too. The man in the front apartment.
Well, this is all part of a plot, Mrs. Walker. I'm very fond of Susie, but I also wanted to meet you.
At least you're frank.
There goes Santa Claus.
Oh, don't even mention the name.
Why not, Mother?
Well, that Santa Claus you see is a last-minute substitute.
But why?
Remember the way the janitor was last New Year's?
Oh, right. Drunk as a skunk.
I see Susan doesn't believe in Santa Claus either.
That's right. She never has.
Well, that's the end of the parade. Mother, I've been thinking. It's Thanksgiving, and there are only two of us. Couldn't we invite Mr. Gailey?
Well,
Oh, please don't bother. I'll just have a sandwich or something.
But we have such a big turkey. Please, Mother, please.
Well, I just
Did
don't
I
know.
ask all right, Mr. Gailey?
Susie, shh.
You asked fine, Susan. Dinner's at 3, Mr. Gailey.
Hello, Mrs. Walker.
Yes, Mr. Shellhammer?
Your maid said you were Thanksgiving dinner, but I just had to tell you your Santa Claus was stupendous.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Macy himself wants him to be our toy department's Santa Claus.
Oh, fine. Can you hire him?
I already have. Oh, he's a born salesman. I can just feel it.
Good. We'll talk about it in the morning. Thanks for calling, Mr. Shellhammer.
Here he is, Mr. Shellhammer. Here's Santa Claus.
There he is. Good morning, Santa Claus.
Well, good morning.
Now, before you do go to the toy department, here's a list of the toys we have to push.
Oh?
Things we're overstocked on. You'll find a great many children will be undecided as to what they want for Christmas. And when that happens, you just suggest one of these items. Do you understand?
Oh, I certainly do.
Oh, fine. That's fine. Now take this list, and Alfred here will show you to your throne in the toy department. And don't forget, you're working for Macy's.
Are you really Santa Claus?
Oh, why, of course I am. What do you want for Christmas, little boy?
I want a fire engine with a real hose that squirts real wet water. And I won't do it in the house. I'll only do it in the backyard, I promise.
And I promise you'll get your fire engine.
You see, Mama? I told you he'd get me one.
That's fine. That's just dandy. You wait here, Mortimer. Mama wants to thank Santa Claus, too.
Oh, yes, madam.
Say, what's the matter with you?
Oh, no. What's the trouble?
I told you before, didn't I? The kid wants a fire engine, but there isn't one to be had anywhere in town. Macy's ain't got one. Gimbel's ain't got any. Nobody got any. My feet are killing me, and you say, okay, here, he gets an engine.
Oh, but you can get those fire engines at Schoenfeld's, Lexington Avenue. Only $4.50. A wonderful bargain.
Schoenfield's?
Yes.
Hey, I don't get it.
Oh, I follow the toy market very closely.
Macy's sending people to other stores?
Yes.
Are you kidding?
No. Oh, one important thing is to make the children happy. Whether Macy's or somebody else sells that toy doesn't really matter. Don't you feel that way?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Only, I didn't know Macy's did. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Who's next, please? Right this way to see Santa Claus. All right, little girl, you're next.
Oh, of course, little girl. You want some roller skates? Well, you shall have them too.
Mama! He's gonna bring me some roller skates.
And he has some fine skates here at Macy's. Haven't you, Santa Claus?
Oh, they're good skates, all right, but not quite good enough. Now, I left some really wonderful roller skates at Gimbel's. I'm sure Gimbel's will have just what this good little girl wants. Very good.
Mr. Shellhammer? Are you Mr. Shellhammer?
Gimbel's? That's what he did say, Gimbel's?
The sales lady said I should speak to you.
Gimbel's.
I wanted to congratulate you in Macy's on the wonderful stunt you're pulling.
Gimbel's?
Imagine a big outfit like Macy's putting the spirit of Christmas ahead of commercial.
Gimbel's.
From now on, I'm going to be a regular Macy's customer. All right, Mortimer, here we go.
Gimbel's!
And there's the toy department over there, Mr. Gailey.
Oh, you certainly know all about Macy's store, don't you, Susan?
Well, that's because my mother works here. But I still think it's silly bringing me here to see Santa Claus.
Well, I just felt that when you talk to him, you might see things differently.
Okay, Mr. Gailey, I'm certainly willing to try.
Well, what a fine young lady, eh? What's your name, little girl?
Susan Walker, what's yours?
Mine? Chris Kringle. I'm Santa Claus. Oh, you don't believe that, eh?
Uh-huh. You see, my mother's Mrs. Walker.
Oh.
But I must say, you're the best-looking Santa Claus I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
Your beard, for instance. It doesn't have one of those
box that goes over your ears.
Oh, that's because it's real. Just like I'm really Santa Claus. Now go ahead, pull it.
Oh my goodness, it is real.
Yes. And now, what would you like me to bring you for Christmas?
Nothing, thank you. Whatever I want, my mother will get. If it's sensible and doesn't cost too much.
Oh.
That's quite right, Susan.
Oh, hello, Mother.
Hello, Mr. Gailey.
Hello. The explanation for this is all very simple. Your maid's mother sprained her ankle, and she had to go home, so she asked me to bring Susie down to you. And as long as we were here, I figured we might as well say hello to Santa Claus.
He has real whiskers, Mother.
Susan, would you mind standing over there for a minute?
If you want me to.
I shouldn't have brought Susie to see Santa, is that it?
Now you're making me feel completely heartless.
I'm sorry.
Don't you see? I tell Susan that Santa Claus is a myth, and you show her a very convincing old man with real whiskers. Whom is she to believe?
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
When Susan was a baby, her father and I were divorced. And ever since then, I've protected my child by teaching her realities. If you don't believe in fairy tales and fantasy, you can never be hurt or disillusioned.
We were talking about Susie, Mrs. Walker.
And I must ask you to let me raise her as I see fit. All right, dear, the store's going to close soon. We'll run along to my office.
Oh, Alfred said you wanted to see me, Mrs. Walker.
Oh, yes. Come in. I'd be grateful if you'll please tell Susan that you are not really Santa Claus, that there actually is no such person.
Oh, but Mrs. Walker, not only is there such a person, but here I am to prove it.
No, you misunderstand me. I want you to tell her the truth. Now, what's your real name?
Kris Kringle. And I always tell the truth. Susan, I bet you're in first grade.
Second grade.
I mean, your real name?
Well, that's my real name. My goodness, the second grade.
Very well. I have your employment card right here. I'll look it up on that.
That's a very cute dress you have on, Susan.
It's from Macy's. We got 10% off.
Oh.
So, you always tell the truth, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Look at your employment card.
Name, Kris Kringle. Address, Brooks Memorial Home, Great Neck, Long Island. You may call the home if you'd care to confirm that, Mrs. Walker. It's a home for elderly gentlemen.
And would you also like me to confirm this?
What's that?
Date of birth. As old as my tongue and a little bit older than my teeth. Place of birth? North Pole. Now really.
Why, I believe you doubt me, Mrs. Walker.
And this tops everything. Next of kin?
Oh, that.
Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen. I'm sorry to have to do this, Mr.
Kringle.
But the Santa Claus that we had 2 years ago is back in town, and I feel that we owe it to him to...
Have I done something wrong?
Oh, no. It's just that we feel that... excuse me. Hello?
This is Mr. Shellhammer, Mrs. Walker. Drop whatever you're doing. Mr. Macy wants to see us immediately.
Oh, I'll be right up. I'm afraid I'll have to be very abrupt with you. I have to see Mr. Macy. You'll be paid for the whole week, Mr. Kringle, and I'll send your check to that address.
Oh, come right in, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Shellhammer.
Thank you, Mr. Macy.
Now, about this new policy you two initiated.
Well, you see...
Macy's Santa Claus sending customers to Gimbel's.
But I can explain everything, Mr. Macy.
Well, you don't have to explain a thing. Just look at my desk. 42 telegrams and over 500 phone calls. Grateful parents expressing undying gratitude to Macy's department store.
Wait, you don't say.
And from now on, not only will our Santa Claus continue in this manner, but every salesperson in the entire store will follow suit.
You mean that if we haven't got what the customer asks for, we're supposed to...
We're to send him where he can get it. No high pressuring and forcing a customer to take something he doesn't really want.
I think that's wonderful, Mr. Macy.
Why, we'll be known as the helpful store, or the friendly store, the store that places public service ahead of profits. And consequently, we'll make more profits than ever. As for you, Mrs. Walker, Mr. Shellhammer, you'll find a more practical expression of my gratitude in your Christmas envelopes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, yes.
And tell that wonderful Santa Claus I won't forget him either. Matter of fact, I'll tell him myself in the morning.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Macy.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Macy.
And thank you again, sir. Oh, imagine a bonus.
Yes?
Well, what's the matter with you?
Mr. Shellhammer, I just fired him.
Who?
Santa Claus.
Oh, no. No, you couldn't have.
But I did. He's crazy, Mr. Shellhammer. He really thinks he's Santa Claus.
Doris, I don't care if he thinks he's the Easter Bunny. Find him.
Act 2 of Miracle on 34th Street will continue right after this short intermission. You're listening to the Icebox Radio Theater, coming to you live from the John Faith Little Theater, International Falls, Minnesota.
then you know it's Christmas. When the snow starts to fall, then you know it's Christmas for the children above all. Then you know it's Christmas, 'cause Santa's on his way. We stand under the mistletoe, and then it's Christmas Day. The joyful times we witness forever stays with us. Soon Rudolph hears his whistle and gathers all his friends. When Santa and his missus wraps the final gift, you know it's time for Christmas for each and every one. Snow starts to fall, and then you know it's Christmas for the children above all. And then you know it's Christmas, 'cause Santa's on his way. We stand under the mistletoe, and then it's Christmas.
Facebook and streaming listeners, you're enjoying the intermission show from the Icebox Radio Theater. We'll be back with the second half of Miracle on 34th Street right after we enjoy some great tunes from the music service we subscribe to. Hey, at least they aren't the same old Christmas songs, right?
Shining oh so bright everywhere in this little town. On
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all from the lights to the mistletoe. Tell me one thing, is there anything that you're missing? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas I only wanna be close to you. It's a magical time full of kisses. Take a walk outside and tickle the snowman's nose. Moving nimbly, did you hear something from the chimney? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas, I only wanna be close to you.
This is the intermission show. The
Icebox. We're back at the John Faith Little Theater in International Falls. It's the Icebox Radio Theater live. We're in the middle of Miracle on 34th Street. It's a tense time at Macy's department store. Doris has just fired Kris Kringle, the man who claims to be the one and only Santa Claus. But Mr. Macy loves his new Santa. Can Doris get Kris back? Will Susan ever really believe? And what about Mortimer's fire truck that squirts real water? All these questions and more will be answered in Act 2 of our play, right after a word from our sponsor.
No. No. No.
What is it, Babs? You seem more annoyed than a barbecue fan at a vegan restaurant.
It's my Frank, Margie. I just don't know what to get him for Christmas. I've been scrolling through website after website, and nothing looks right.
Yes, the fellows are very tough to buy for, but why don't you hire Guy Gift?
Guy Gift? What's that?
What's Guy Gift? Well, I'll show you. Guy Gift is the service that brings together frustrated gals like us with trained professional gift advisors who are themselves men.
Amazing. Do they actually talk to you?
And how? On his birthday, my man liked his gift so much he almost smiled.
Oh my.
Here, try it out for yourself.
Yeah, he needs a hammer.
But he already has 3.
Yeah, but he needs one for the basement. Him's all he got are garage hammers.
Okay. But How about a Vikings jersey?
Oh, sure, if you want to get his hopes up. Maybe an old one. Fran Tarkington. Yeah, it's me. I think you should get him power tools.
Power tools? But he hasn't built anything in 3 years.
Well, yeah, but look at that pegboard out in the garage. Everything in its place, no dust, neat as a pin, even traced around the tools with a Sharpie so he knows what goes where. That spot right there would be perfect for a battery recharging station.
But he doesn't have any rechargeable tools.
Point being?
I'd like to get him a barbecue apron that says, "Kiss the cook."
No, get him one that makes him look like Darth Vader.
But he doesn't even like Star Wars.
Hey, Darth Vader.
Yes, Guy Gift, the perfect way to a happy man this Christmas. And coming for the fellas, Gal Gift, the gift-giving service that will tell you what to do without you even having to understand, just like she does.
The heck's a Pilates mat?
It doesn't matter. Merry Christmas from Guy Gift and Gal Gift, coming soon to the internet near you.
Miracle on 34th Street continues now from the Icebox Radio Theater and the John Faith Little Theater here in International Falls. Well, it was a frantic few hours that Doris spent last night rushing out to the Brooks Memorial Home, is searching for Kris Kringle and assuring him that Macy's wanted him back as Santa Claus. Now Kris is again presiding over the crowded toy department, while in her office, Doris and Mr. Shellhammer.
Don't you understand, Mr. Shellhammer? That old man with the nice white whiskers insists that he is Santa Claus. Why, he's out of his mind. What if he should have a fit or something? Oh, no, I have got to tell Mr. Macy.
Yes, well, maybe he's only a little crazy. Anyway, you can't be sure until he's examined. We'll send him to Mr. Sawyer.
Sawyer?
In personnel. He's paid to examine employees, isn't he? And now, by the way, what do you think of this?
What is it?
A full-page ad Macy's is running in tomorrow's newspapers.
Macy's is running this? But it's all about the other stores, Gimbals and Saks.
I know, Mr. Macy's idea to help our customers find what they want. Ugh, it's revolting, isn't it?
That Santa Claus certainly has started something. Oh well, I'll get a hold of him at his lunch hour and send him up to Mr. Sawyer.
So I changed my clothes, Mr. Sawyer, and I came right up.
Oh, well, that's that's your own beard, huh?
Huh? Oh, yes. Yes.
Interesting complex in back of that. Why do you carry a cane?
Oh, always carry a cane, Mr. Sawyer. Well, that is when I wear street clothes. I carved this cane out of a runner from one of my old slaves.
What's that? What's
With
that?
A fine, solid silver top.
Who was the first president of the United States?
What? Oh, give me a difficult one, like, who was vice president under James Monroe?
I'm conducting the experiment.
The answer is Daniel D. Tompkins. Yes, you're a rather nervous man, aren't you, Mr. Sawyer? Tell me, do you get enough sleep?
My personal habits are no concern of yours. Now, what hand am I holding up?
Right hand.
Okay, and how many fingers do you see?
3. Oh dear, you bite your nails too.
Stand up. Now, feet together, arms extended.
Muscular coordination test. I've taken a dozen of these tests. Mr. Sawyer, are you happy at home?
What? That'll be all, Mr. Kringle. This examination is over.
Oh, thank you.
And it may interest you to know that I have been happily married for 22 years. Very happily married.
Oh, delighted to hear it. Goodbye, Mr. Sawyer.
Miss Prong!
Yes, sir?
Get Mrs. Walker on the phone.
Yes, sir. But your wife, Mr. Sawyer, she's called 4 times already.
Well, you tell my wife to shut up and mind her own business.
Here's Mrs. Walker, sir.
All right. Hello?
Oh, I was just going to call you, Mr. Sawyer.
Oh?
There's Dr. Pierce stopping by this afternoon at 3.
Who's Dr. Pierce?
She's the physician at the Brooks home. I thought we might discuss Mr. Kringle's case with her.
Well, there's hardly any point in discussing it, Mrs. Walker. Obviously, the old man should be discharged. So, Dr. Pierce, Kringle should be dismissed immediately and sent to a mental institution.
Oh, now, just a minute, Mr. Sawyer.
No, he's deluded, saying that he's Santa Claus.
It's a delusion for good. I found he only wants to be friendly and helpful.
His whole manner suggests aggressiveness. Look at the way he carries that cane. Mrs. Walker, naturally I can't discharge that loony, so when he exhibits his maniacal tendencies, please realize that the responsibility is completely yours.
Well, I am right back where I started.
Mrs. Walker, I assure you, Kris Kringle has no maniacal tendencies.
But if there is the slightest possibility of his causing any trouble...
What trouble?
Well, all that needs to happen is a policeman asks him his name.
Kris Kringle!
Clang, clang! And Macy's Santa Claus lands up in the psychopathic ward.
Well, you can prevent that very simply. Now, there must be someone here at the store who could rent him a room. They could both come to work together. I just assume avoid the long train ride from Long Island anyways.
You mean sort of take custody of him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Mr. Kringle would agree to that?
Oh, I'm sure he'll agree.
Well, in that case, now let me see. Who do I know who could rent him a room?
I'm glad you're going to have dinner with us, Mr. Kringle.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
I'm also very glad you're going to be living next door with Mr. Gailey.
Oh, why?
Because you're nice to talk to.
Oh, I say, what a fine young man that Mr. Gailey is, eh? Just think, allowing me to share his apartment? A mere stranger?
He did it because Mother hinted to him.
Oh, well. Anyway, I'm very grateful.
Shall I tell you what I did in school today?
Oh, by all means. Any games?
Yes, and a very silly game, too.
Oh?
They played zoo, and each child was supposed to be an animal.
Oh, but Susan, they were just pretending.
But that's what makes the game so silly.
Oh, well, of course, in order to play games, you need imagination.
Uh-huh. That's when you see things, but they're not really there, huh?
Well, yes, but you know, to me, imagination is a place all by itself. Now, you've heard of the French nation?
Mm-hmm.
And the British nation?
Yes.
Well, this is the imagination. A very interesting place, too. Now, how would you like to be able to make snowballs in the summertime, eh?
What?
Or be the Statue of Liberty in the morning, and in the afternoon fly south with a flock of geese?
Well, I'm quite sure I'd like it, but...
Oh, it's very simple. Really, well... Anyway, look here. The next time they play zoo, you can be a monkey.
But I don't know how to be a monkey.
Don't you? Oh, I'll show you. Now, first you bend over a little like this, see? Now, let your arms hang loose, see?
Like this?
Yeah, that's fine. Now, put your hand over here and start scratching, see? Oh, that's it. That's it. That's excellent, Susan. Oh, that's as fine a bit of scratching as I've ever seen. Yeah, now start chattering.
Chattering?
Yes. Now listen. E, 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 e. See? And keep scratching. Now, then look here. We'll do it together, see? Chatter and scratch and scratch and chatter, see? E, 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 e. That's fine, Susan, fine. You're doing it beautifully. Beautifully, yes. Susan, are you still awake?
Uh-huh.
I'm just coming to say goodnight. That's all. Now look here about Christmas. There must be something you'd like for Christmas.
Well, I've certainly thought about something, Mr. Kringle.
You have? Well, what is it, eh? Tell me.
It's right here on the night table, see?
Oh.
I tore this page out of a magazine. It's a picture of a house.
Oh, that's what you want, is it? A doll's house, colonial architecture.
Oh, not a doll's house. A real house.
A real house?
Yes, and if you're really Santa Claus, you can get it for me.
Oh, no. Wait a minute, Susie. What could you possibly do with a big house?
Live in it with my mother. And a backyard with a big tree to put a swing on. And a garden. And a... Oh, well, why even discuss it?
Susie, could I keep this picture just in case?
I guess so.
Oh, thank you, dear, thank you. Well, Mr. Gailey is waiting for me. Good night, monkey. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Good night, Mr. Kringle.
Take whichever bed you want, Mr. Kringle.
Oh, you're very kind, really. Tell me, Mr. Gailey, just what is it you do for a living?
Oh, I'm a lawyer. Hayslip, Sherman and Mackenzie.
Oh. And you like living here in the city?
Well, it's convenient, but someday I'd like to get a place on Long Island.
Huh.
Not a big house, just one of those junior partner deals around Manhasset.
Oh, one of those little colonial houses, eh?
Yeah. Little colonial house would be real swell.
Good, yes. You're quite fond of Mrs. Walker, aren't you?
Well, a lot of good it does me. She lives in a cast iron shell that's just a little difficult to penetrate.
Oh, well, you must try a little harder, Mr. Gailey. You know, Mrs. Walker and that child are a couple of lost souls. And it's up to us to help them.
Oh?
Yes, she... Oh, well, shall I turn off the light?
No.
No?
I'm not going to be cheated out of this. You know, all my life I've wondered about it, and now I'm going to find out. Tell me, does Santa Claus sleep with his whiskers outside or inside the covers?
Oh, outside, of course. Outside, by all means. The cold air makes them grow.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, come in, Mrs. Walker, come in.
Thank you, Mr. Macy. I've just heard something very exciting.
You have? Well, let me tell you something very exciting. Our policy of being kind to customers has tripled our sales. Now, what do you think of that?
That's wonderful, Mr. Macy. And Gimbals thinks it's wonderful, too.
Gimbals?
Gimbals are adopting the same policy.
Well, is that so?
And it gives me an idea. As long as Gimbals are doing the same thing, why not some pictures for the newspapers?
Pictures?
Yes, you and Mr. Gimbal. Shaking hands?
Shaking hands? R.H. Macy and Gimbal?
Well, yes.
Yes. Why not? With Santa Claus. It's a great idea, Mrs. Walker. Macy and Gimbal shaking hands.
Right there, please. One more shot. Mr. Gimbal, over here, please. Over here. One more, please. One more.
Oh, that's enough. Enough pictures, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Gimbal?
Oh, come on, R.H. Now we'll go over to my store and get some really good pictures.
Oh, hey, just a minute. I have something here for Santa Claus. Here you are, Mr. Kringle. A check in appreciation of all you've done.
Oh, Mr. Macy. Why, that's most kind of you.
I didn't think you were that generous, R.H. That's quite a check. What are you going to do with it, Mr. Kringle?
Well, I have a friend, Dr. Pierce. She needs a new x-ray machine.
Oh, buy the machine through the store. 10% discount?
Nonsense. Come on over to Gimbals. We'll give it to you at cost.
Oh, keep it up, gentlemen. Keep it up. At this rate, oh, my friend will have a whole new hospital.
How did the pictures turn out, Mr. Kringle?
Oh, fine, Alfred, fine. How about a game of checkers during lunch, eh?
Oh, not today, Chris. I don't feel so good.
Oh, what's the matter, Alfred?
Nothing much. You remember I was telling you how I like to play Santa Claus over at the Y and give out packages to the kids?
Oh, yes.
Well, I was telling Mr. Sawyer about it. He says that's very bad. That psychologically, it's all wrong.
Wrong? To be nice to children?
Well, he says guys who play Santa Claus do it because when they were young, they must have done something bad, and now they do it because they think it's something good to make up for it. You see, he calls it a guilt complex.
Alfred, what else has he found wrong with you?
Nothing much, just he says that I hate my father. I didn't know, but he says I do.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, hey, ain't you gonna finish your lunch?
Later. Right now, I have an appointment with Mr. Sawyer.
What do you mean breaking into my office like this?
Are you a licensed psychiatrist?
What business of that is yours?
I have a great respect for psychiatry and a great contempt for meddling amateurs who go around practicing it.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, you ought to be horsewhipped. Take a boy like Alfred and filling him up with complexes and phobias.
Well, I think I'm a better equipped to judge that than you are.
Oh, just because Alfred wants to be kind to children? You tell him he has a guilt complex?
Having the same delusion yourself you couldn't possibly understand.
Oh.
And don't wave that cane at me.
Either you stop analyzing Alfred, or I'll go straight to Mr. Macy and tell him what a contemptible fraud you are.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here before I have you thrown out.
There's only one way to handle a man like you. Maybe this'll knock some sense into you.
Oh, wow! Help! Oh, my head. Oh!
Good day, Mr. Sawyer.
Miss Prong, give me the police. Give me Mrs. Walker. Give me the psychopathic ward at Bellevue Hospital.
You can see Mr. Kringle now, Mr. Gailey.
Thank you, nurse. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Fred.
Chris, I've been speaking to the...
Oh, yes. Same old tests.
Except this time you failed them. Chris, you deliberately failed. Why?
Why? Well, because I had great hopes, Fred. I had a feeling Mrs. Walker was beginning to believe in me, and now I discovered she was only humoring me all the time.
But this wasn't Doris's ideal at all. Mr. Sawyer had you sent up here before she even knew about it.
But why? Why didn't she come to me and explain things?
Because she didn't want to hurt you.
Oh, well, it's not just Mrs. Walker, it's... Well, now take Mr. Sawyer. He's contemptible, dishonest, deceitful. Yet he's out there, and I'm in here. Well, if that's normal, I don't want it.
But you can't just think of yourself, Chris. What happens to you matters to a lot of other people. People like me who believe in what you stand for, and people like Susie, who are just beginning to believe. Chris, you're letting us down.
Well, Fred, maybe you're right. Oh, of course you're right. I ought to be ashamed of myself. Let's get out of here.
All right, now wait a minute. You flunked your mental examination, but good.
Oh yes, so I did. Anyway, you're a lawyer. You fix it.
Hey, look, I can do it.
Oh, no, I won't let you down, and you won't let me down.
All right, Chris, now take it easy. Look, there'll have to be a hearing. If you're going to be committed, it's going to have to be before a judge.
Well?
Well, if I can do anything at all, it'll have to be in a courtroom. And now sit tight, Chris. I'll get an idea. I have to get an idea.
You sent for me, Mr. Macy?
I certainly did, Mr. Sawyer. I brought my family to the toy department to see our Santa Claus, and our Santa Claus isn't there. He's in Bellevue.
Yes, Mr. Macy.
Because he's a lunatic.
Yes, sir, a lunatic.
Lunatic my foot. Now you listen to me, Sawyer. You get that case dropped right away, or you'll have another lump to match the one he gave you.
But it's out of my hands. Mr. Kringle goes to court in the morning.
Well, just see that he's back in the toy department by afternoon. Now, get out of here.
Yeah, say that. Oh, Mr. Gailey. Mr. Gailey.
Yes?
Yes, I've been looking all over for you. I'm Sawyer.
Oh, so you're Sawyer.
Yes, I was just speaking to the court clerk, and he said you represent Mr. Kringle? Well, I represent Mr. Macy.
Oh, then I'll see you in court.
No, hey, that's what I wanted to speak with you about. Now, Mr. Macy would like to drop the whole case right now. You see, we're most anxious to avoid any publicity.
No publicity?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's very interesting.
Oh, so you'll cooperate?
You know something, Sawyer? You've given me the idea I've been searching for.
Oh, good.
If I'm gonna win this case, I'm gonna have to have public opinion and plenty of it. And publicity's just the way to do it. Thanks.
But Mr. Gailey, but Mr. Gailey.
Look at these newspapers, Chris. Here, the Evening Dispatch. Doctors doubt sanity of Santa who launched Goodwill campaign.
Oh, my.
Daily Bulletin. Macy's Santa Claus to have lunacy hearing.
Oh, what's this one?
New York Express.
Oh, is Kris Kringle crazy? Court case coming. Kiddies cry calamity.
You've driven the United Nations clear back to page 5. Well, get a good night's sleep, Chris. We go before Judge Harper at 10 tomorrow morning.
Now, you understand, Mr. Kringle, that this is not a trial. Yes, it's just a hearing, so you don't have to answer any questions. Now, where do you live, please?
Well, it seems to me that's what this hearing will decide, won't it?
Mr. Kringle, do you believe that you are Santa Claus?
Well, of course I do.
That's all, Your Honor. The state rests its case.
Well, Mr. Gailey?
Your Honor, Mr. Mara contends my client is not sane because he believes he is Santa Claus.
An entirely logical conclusion. Anyone who thinks he's Santa Claus is crazy.
Your Honor, you believe yourself to be Judge Harper, yet no one questions your sanity because you are Judge Harper, do they?
Mr. Kringle is the subject of the sanity hearing, not I.
Well, Your Honor, I intend to prove that Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
Oh,
Mr. Mara, I thought you said that this was a cut and dry sanity hearing.
Well, I thought it was, Your Honor.
In view of Mr. Gailey's statement, I'll have to review the entire background of this case. Course adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Hello, Doris. I'm sorry I'm late, but get ready. We're really going to have to celebrate tonight.
Oh, what are we celebrating?
Well, didn't you read the papers? Santa's mouthpiece throws bombshell in New York City Supreme Court.
Oh, Fred, you're not really serious about this. You can't possibly prove that Kris Kringle is Santa Claus.
Well, you saw Mr. Macy and Mr. Gimble shake hands. That wasn't possible either.
What does your firm have to say about it? Hayslip and Mackenzie and the rest of them?
That I've jeopardized their prestige, and either I drop this impossible case or they'll drop me.
You see?
So I beat them to it. I quit.
Fred! You threw away a career because of a sentimental whim?
Well, I'll open my own office.
And what kind of clients will you get?
Oh, probably a lot of people, like Chris, who are being pushed around. That's the only fun in law anyway. Doris, look, haven't you have any faith in me at all?
Oh, it's not a question of faith. It's just, well, common sense.
But faith is believing in things when common sense tells you not to. It's not just Chris that's on that trial. It's everything he stands for. Human kindness and love and dignity.
Oh, Fred, listen. We've seen a lot of each other the last couple of weeks, and I've become very fond of you. We've talked about some wonderful plans, haven't we? And then you do this. Go on an idealistic binge, throw away your security, and expect me to be happy about it?
And I expect too much, is that it? Well, that's that, I guess. Good night, Doris.
Yes, hello. This is Mr. Mara. Well, I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm eating dinner, but who's been subpoenaed? Well, how do you think I feel about it? I'll see you tomorrow.
Who was that, dear?
R.H. Macy has been subpoenaed.
Oh,
Those
my.
those reporters that make me look like a sadistic monster who likes nothing better than to drown pussycats and tear the wings off butterflies.
Quiet, dear. Tommy's still awake.
Oh, yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
It'd just break his heart if he knew what his daddy is doing.
I'm doing my job as assistant district attorney.
Well, I'm not so sure, but that I agree with them. Mr. Kringle looks like a very nice old man, and I don't see why you have to keep persecuting him.
I am not persecuting him. I'm prosecuting him. I like the old man, too, but there's nothing I can do about it.
You know something, Thomas? Sometimes I wish I'd married a butcher or a plumber.
Well, if I lose this case, you just might get your wish.
Proceed with the witness, Mr. Gailey.
Now then, Mr. Macy, if you recognize the defendant, please tell us who he is.
Why, Chris Kringle, of course.
Do you believe him to be of sound mind?
Sound mind? I wish I had a dozen like him.
Mr. Macy, you are under oath. Do you believe that that man is Santa Claus?
Well, no, that's rather delicate.
Yeah, just think of those headlines tomorrow. Macy admits his Santa Claus is a fraud.
You keep out of this, Gimbal.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Nothing, Mr. Mara, nothing.
Well, I wish you would. Is that man Santa Claus?
Yes. In my opinion, he certainly is.
Your Honor, there is no such person as Santa Claus, and everybody knows it.
Can you prove there isn't any?
I won't even try. I'll not waste this court's time with such childish nonsense. Your Honor, the prosecution requests an immediate ruling from this court. Is there or is there not a Santa Claus?
Well, now, the court will have to take a short recess to consider the question.
Hello, Margaret.
Why, Charlie, what are you doing here?
Well, can't an old friend visit you in your chambers? And if you ask me, you never needed a friend like you do now.
This Kringle case. Oh, I certainly don't see what they're making such a fuss about.
Margaret, that's Santa Claus you've got out there. On trial for lunacy. This case is dynamite, and you're coming up for re-election soon.
Charlie, do you know what happened last night? Martha brought the grandkids over, and they wouldn't even kiss Grandma. They wouldn't even talk to me.
See what I mean? If you were to rule there's no Santa Claus, well, you best start looking for that chicken farm right now.
I'm a responsible judge. How can I seriously rule that there's no Santa Claus?
Because of what happens if you don't. Kids read about it, they don't hang up their stockings. Now what happens to all the toys that are supposed to be in those stockings? Nobody buys them. The toy manufacturers have to lay off employees. By now you've got the AFL and the CIO against you. Oh, yes, and they'll say it with votes, you see. Oh, and the department stores are going to love you, too. Yes, sir, Margaret. Oh, and what about the Salvation Army? Yes, they've got a Santa Claus on every street corner, taking a lot of money to help the poor, but no. You go ahead, Margaret. You go in there and you rule that there isn't any Santa Claus. But if you do, you can count on getting just 2 votes. Your own and that district attorney's out there.
1 vote, Charlie. District attorney's a Republican. Oh, well, let's get this over with. The question of Santa Claus seems to be largely a matter of opinion. The traditional American justice demands a broad and unprejudiced view on such a controversial matter.
But, Your Honor,
This court, therefore, intends to keep its mind open. We shall ask for evidence for either side.
But the burden of proof clearly rests with my opponent. Can he produce any evidence to support his views?
If Your Honor pleases, I can. Will Thomas Mara please take the stand?
Who, me?
No, Thomas Mara Jr. I believe he and his mother are both in court today.
Hi, Papa.
Hi.
Tommy, do you believe in Santa Claus?
I sure do. Gosh, he gave me a brand new sled last year.
Now, what does Santa Claus look like, Tommy?
Well, there he is, sitting right over there.
Your Honor, I protest.
Overruled.
Tell me, Tommy, why are you so sure that there is a Santa Claus?
Because my papa told me so. Didn't you, Pop?
Thank you, Tommy. You can go back to your mother now.
See you later, Papa.
Yeah, he certainly will. Your Honor.
Don't forget Santa Claus. This year, I want a football helmet.
Oh, don't worry, Tommy. You'll get it.
Mr. Kringle, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, sir.
Your Honor, the state of New York concedes the existence of Santa Claus. But in so conceding, we demand that Mr. Gailey stop presenting personal opinion as evidence. I insist he submit authority to prove that Mr. Kringle here is the one and only Santa Claus.
Well, Mr. Gailey, are you prepared to show that Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus on the basis of unprejudiced authority?
Well, Your Honor, no, not now. I need a little time.
Why not now?
Tomorrow, Your Honor.
Very well. Court's adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Now come, Susan dear. Finish your supper.
But I can't, Mother. All those things they're saying in the newspaper about Mr. Kringle and Mr. Gailey.
They're having this trial because he says he's Santa Claus.
He's so nice and jolly. He's not like anyone else I know. He must be Santa.
You know something? I think perhaps you're right.
Is Mr. Kringle sad now, Mother?
I'm afraid he must be.
Then I'll write him a letter. Maybe that'll make him feel better. I'll cheer him up.
Oh, postman! Postman!
Yeah, lady?
Would you mind taking this letter, please?
Ah, sure, lady. We're going straight down to the post office now. All right, Louie, take her away. Well, what do you know, Louie? Another letter for Santa Claus. Hey, here's a new one. Instead of the North Pole, kid's got it addressed to Chris Kringle, New York County Courthouse.
Well, the kid's right.
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. They got him on trial down there. Guy claims he's Santa Claus, and the DA claims he's nuts. Hey. Hey, I got an idea.
Yeah?
How many of them Santa Claus letters we got down in the dead letter office?
Who knows? Maybe it must be 50,000 bags all over the joint. Hey, you mean...
Well, Louie, why not? Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of them all? Wouldn't it? Boy, oh boy. Hey, look, Louie, as soon as we get to the post office, I'm going to go see the supervisor. You know something? I bet we both get promoted.
And since the defense has been unable to submit one shred of proof that Kris Kringle is the one and only Santa Claus, and since tonight is Christmas Eve, I ask Your Honor that this hearing be terminated without further delay.
I protest. I do have evidence.
5 minutes ago, you said you didn't.
During Mr. Morrow's oration, the bailiff handed me my client, the evidence I refer to.
What evidence?
Oh, this letter, Your Honor.
Oh, yes, Mr. Kringle?
It's from Susan Walker. She believes in me. Oh, this letter means more to me than anything in the world.
That letter, Your Honor, was delivered by the United States Post Office, an official agency of the federal government. The Post Office Department is one of the largest business concerns in the world. Last year, did a business volume of over $1 billion, and this year...
Your Honor, I'm sure we're all gratified that the post office is getting along so well, but what bearing has it on the sanity of that man?
My point is that the Post Office Department is a model of efficiency. Furthermore, the laws of this country make it a criminal offense to willfully misdirect or intentionally deliver it to the wrong party.
The state of New York is second to none in its admiration of the Post Office Department. We're very happy to concede Mr. Gailey's...
For the record, Mr. Mara.
For the record. Anything to get on with this case.
Thank you. Your Honor, that letter just received by Mr. Kringle is positive proof that a competent and...
Well, one letter is hardly positive proof.
I have further exhibits, Your Honor, but I hesitate to produce them.
Oh, come, Mr. Gailey. Put them on my desk.
But, Your Honor...
I said put them on my desk.
All right, boys. Bring them in.
What? Your Honor, what is this?
Empty those mail sacks right on Judge Harper's desk.
Well, but,
Bring them all in or be fined for contempt of court.
Now, just a second here.
We'll do it, Your Honor. Through rain, through sleet, through anything, we deliver.
Mr. Gailey!
Your Honor, every one of those letters and every one of those mail sacks is addressed to Santa Claus. The post office just delivered them. Therefore, the Post Office Department recognizes Kris Kringle to be the one and only Santa Claus.
Since the United States government declares this man to be Santa Claus, this court will not dispute it. Case dismissed. And for heaven's sake, get this mail out of my courtroom!
So as soon as I got out of court, I came straight to Macy's to see you, Doris.
Oh, Chris, I'm so glad you won.
Oh, well, we're having a big Christmas party at the Brooks home tomorrow morning. I'd like so much to see you and Susan there.
We'll be there, Chris. Oh, well, couldn't you come home now and have dinner with us?
Oh, now? Tonight, me? Oh, my goodness, Doris. It's Christmas Eve. Oh, Alfred, look. Look who came all the way out here to the home just for our Christmas party.
Chris, it's Mr. Macy.
And Mr. Gimble, too. Oh, excuse me, Alfred. Mrs. Walker and Susan have to leave now, and I want to see them off before they go. So forgive me, will you?
Susie, darling, you got so many presents.
Not the one I wanted. Not the one Mr. Kringle was going to get for me.
Well, what was it?
It doesn't matter. I knew he wouldn't get it, but I thought he'd at least tell me why.
Susie, I'm sorry, Susie. I tried my best, but...
You couldn't get it because you're not Santa Claus.
Susan!
Just a nice old man, like Mother said.
But I was wrong when I told you that. You must believe in Mr. Kringle and keep right on doing it. You must have faith in him.
But that doesn't make sense, Mother.
Faith? is believing in things when common sense tells you not to.
What?
I mean, just because things don't turn out the way you want them to the first time, you've still got to believe in people. I found that out.
Hello, Doris.
Fred.
Mr. Gailey! Mr. Gailey!
Oh, Merry Christmas, Susie.
Gosh, you just got here and we're ready to leave.
Oh, I've been here.
Oh.
And if you're ready to leave, I'll drive you home.
Before you go, here's a map I've made for you. You'll miss a lot of traffic. About 4 miles south, you will see Ashley Avenue. Now that's the street you want. Ashley Avenue.
Thanks, Chris. And Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, Fred. And to you, my dear. Oh, and to you, Susan.
I believe Mr. Kringle. I do. It's silly, I suppose, but I do.
I don't understand this, Fred. The map Chris gave definitely says Ashley Avenue. We've been on Ashley Avenue now for...
Stop the car! Oh, stop the car, please!
Susie, what is it, darling? What's the matter?
There it is! The house! The house!
Susie?
What in the world?
She's running into that house.
Well, at least no one's home. It's brand new. It's just been built.
Yeah, for sale, it says. Yeah, for sale.
What on earth is that child up to?
Susie. Hey, Susie.
Here I am, upstairs.
Now come right down. You know you shouldn't run around in other people's houses. Say, that's strange.
I'll say.
No, I mean this house. I've seen this house somewhere. I know I have. Maybe in a magazine or...
Mother, it's our house. It's the one I asked him for. Mr. Kringle.
Mr. Kringle?
I know it is. Oh, you were right, Mommy. You were right.
Susie.
Mommy told me that if things didn't turn out the way I wanted them to at first, you still gotta believe. And I kept believing. And you were right, Mommy. Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
Now where are you going?
And back to see if there's a swing. There is one. Oh, there is one.
You told her that. About believing.
Well, you told me, Fred.
The sign outside, for sale. Well, we can't let her down, can we?
I never really doubted you. It was just my silly common sense.
Even makes sense to believe in me now. I must be a pretty good lawyer. I take a little old man and legally prove to the world that he's Santa Claus. Now you know that it couldn't be it.
Fred.
What's the matter?
There, in the corner, by the fireplace.
Oh, no.
It can't be. It couldn't be.
Cane. Chris's cane. There couldn't be two canes like this anywhere in the world.
Silver handle and all.
Hey, you know something? Maybe I didn't do such a wonderful job after all.
Before we meet again in this theater, the most joyful day of the year will have come and gone. There are in our times, as in every time, a few foolish men who deride the spirit of Christmas, but in every country, in every time, they are overwhelmed by those who find in it the hope and happiness of the future, by those of us who believe in our hearts that there can be peace on this earth and goodwill among all men. On behalf of the Lever Brothers Company and all of us here at the Icebox Radio Theater, may we wish you all the happiest of holidays. This has been Miracle on 34th Street, originally adapted by the Lux Radio Theater from the story by Valentine Davis. Our cast featured Caleb Silvers as Fred, Karen Schickel as Doris, Grace Flesland as Susan, Tom Bement as Chris Kringle. Douglas Screef played Mr. Macy. Also in the cast, performing multiple voices, were Justin Kaplan, Scott Turner, and Jeff Adams, who also directed this production. Sound engineering by Sonara Irwin. That is our broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for coming out on a frigid night here in International Falls. For those of you listening online, we return you now to your regularly scheduled programming. This has been the Icebox Radio Theater live from International Falls, Minnesota.